All right, I'm gonna just start off by saying I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing here. I'm working on a couple of different things. So right now I am capturing video on a Google Pixel 6a with a specific app called Blackmagic app, the Blackmagic camera app. And I am editing this video on my computer on DaVinci Resolve, which is an Blackmagic software. So Blackmagic is the parent company. They have an app that allows better camera control. So right here I'm shooting in 24 frames per second. Shutter speed is 180 degrees, well, shutter angle, and a couple other things that I was taking a look at and just trying to get better at cinema quality with pretty much everything that I already have. I'm not going to go out there and buy, $600 camera or $6,000 camera. But anyways, jumping into the video, I got a really good deal on a used desk. And here I am trying to fix it. I mean, none of these are really structural repairs. You could see also in the top right corner, you could see a part of the desk that broke off that's still bolted to the L bracket. But yeah, well, that's the least of my worries. Right now, I'm just, kind of figuring things out of working with MDF. I think it's called medium density fiber or something like that. But yeah, I'm learning. Using this 2P10 wood glue, extra thick adhesive, no activator, which is a separate spray bottle, which supposedly, woodworking specialists know all about this kind of stuff. But from what I understand, MDF soaks up glue. So I'm pretty much just applying a layer for it to soak in and get tacky over the next couple of minutes. And then I'm going to apply a second layer and go from there. But, just one step at a time. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing here. But, just some basic research and trying to put this together. Again, this is not structural. This is purely aesthetic. I'm going to have some more video of me trying to use cinematic quality video production and edit and post editing. We'll figure this out. But once this studio desk goes up, man, I'm going to be fired up. And it's going to be pretty much the centerpiece, the permanent piece of my my day-to-day workflow, both for the business, for the property management business, as well as for music production and whatever else that I'm doing in front of a computer and in the room, whatever, recording, video gaming, things like that. So here I am, I'm applying the second layer. So a few minutes passed in the jump in the video, as you could see. There's a transition piece just now. So right now, the most important thing from what I understand, just based off of experience, is making sure those edges are glued down. I also did sand the pieces to get a better fit, as close to a good fit as possible. Again, when MDF rips apart in this kind of fashion, some of the fibers pull apart. And when you try to seat these pieces back together, it doesn't go together like a Lego piece. This is something where you have to make some finer adjustments. You have that sanding block in the background. I was using that, and I was, being more careful with the smaller part that I'm right now trying to do some adjustments, making sure that it lines up. I didn't want it sticking out too much on that edge that I was poking around over there. But the best I could get it lined up. And, when I put the glue down, I put the clamps on, I had to do some minor adjustments just to make sure that it sits as flat as possible, because that is going to be the edge that sits directly onto the desk. And then I'm going to secure it using those 3-in-1 fastening screws. So right now, just giving it a go, Again, this is imperfect. It's not a structural issue. This is something where it's purely aesthetic. I said, if I'm going to be using this desk for a while, I might as well just glue it, do some research, glue it back together. You could see the edges are starting to bleed out the glue from the pressure. And even more so now that I'm going to put the clamps on. We're going to wipe that down. Again, the 2P10 is good wood filler as well. There's some other strategies. People use wood chips and wood dust, and they fill in all the cracks and crevices, after some proper sanding, and they fill it back in, and they'll screw it, put it in with the wood glue, whatever wood glue that they have, and then they go ahead and screw it, they create the holes again. Me, I didn't want to go through all of that. I didn't have time. I don't have the patience. And again, this is not structural issues. This desk could go very well together, just with what I got. Maybe if I wanted to put a few other screws in it, but I'm just giving it a go. Again, this is this is me 101. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But I think I pretty much got some basics down. Just keep the area clear. You're working with glue. I mean, this stuff is pretty much like super glue, basically for woodworking. And yeah, I just got some basics down. I put some cardboard down. I'm literally working on the desk. So, I don't have much space. I don't have like a tool bench or some kind of woodworking bench or anything like that. So, I'm basically doing this all in the room. I moved the desk to the bottom corner of the room so I could create room for the new desk, and pretty much putting it together as I go. But I have a few other things that I'm going to post up pretty much that will look exactly like this. Me just trying to make this look as good as possible, because once it goes up, it's not coming down for a few years until maybe I want to either refinish the desk, at which point I could just use the exact measurements that I have for each piece and go out there and shop for, either a lighter version or a more sturdy version. But the desk is pretty much solid. I mean, it's solid MDF pretty much for 90 to 95% of the components, which makes it heavy. I mean, it is heavy. It is sturdy. Again, the studio monitors are going to sit directly onto the desk. I might use some isolating pads, but we'll take a look. But yeah, we're just going to keep it going. Again, this is post sanding, some effort to make the MDF pieces that broke off line up as much as possible to eliminate the cracks. Again, there's several other processes that people can take after this, like sanding and then painting or finishing, whatever MDF kind of, MDF focused strategy for woodworking. Again, just because it's some type of wood doesn't mean that all you would like working and 101 tools or knowledge is applicable universally. That's what I've understood. I mean, if this was a maple desk and I sheared half of it, this would work way differently. This is not the kind of strategy that somebody would be working with maple. There's several other, knowledge bases for the different types of woods that are out there. So again, this is MDF fooling around. Again, this is me adjusting after I put the glue together, put the glued parts together, clamped it down for a little bit. I'm kind of micro adjusting it. And then I just said, look, man, I could sit here all day and micro adjust this thing and get my fingers covered in wood glue, which I didn't want. I mean, my fingers still, this is maybe a few hours afterwards, but my fingers are still rough from the super glue. But yeah, I'm just gonna put it together, slap it together, and wait 48 hours, let it cure, figure it out from there. But again, I am not promising myself anything by this. If it comes apart, it comes apart. I mean, I don't care. Probably pop a few screws in through it and just call it a day. Again, these are non-structural repairs. These are just aesthetic repairs. I had the pieces, and I'm just gonna put it back together. Look at me doing what I don't need to be doing, but I did it anyway. Right there is a small little piece that broke off of the finish, the white finish. And you can see I'm trying to get the camera to do what it does, but look, I'm pointing over there. I've got this like small little centimeter piece that I'm just going to pop back in right there. and just press it down and hold it. And, there was some glue that was spilling out from the pressure over there. And I'm going to just pop it back in place and call it a day. Again, small things, but I could only imagine what it would look like if I just put it all together and there was this big, chunk of the material that's missing. Again, non-structural issue, but made it look half decent.